Well, good morning everybody, welcome back to another episode of Lock Valley Farms. Well, once again folks, as soon as that sun comes out, it warms up quick smart, and we are coming off a whopping 1.5 millimeters of rain last night. So if you're following along from last episode, I was talking about getting out Saturday and having another big crack at some grass freeing. Unfortunately, the wind forecast changed and the wind direction changed, so I only ended up getting one paddock sprayed on Saturday because of the wind, so that's put me a little bit behind. I'm going to have to go back out today. I'll get the beans finished here, and then the wind's actually looking pretty favourable tomorrow, although we might get a frost tonight to get the last 2 tankfuls done. But yeah, we'll just have to see how we go. Unfortunately, that's what I got to start my week with, so we've got to knock this off and get it done. Things are drying up real quick, things are warming up real quick. There's not a lot of moisture down there, so we need to kill these grass weeds ASAP. And that's the thing about farming. Doesn't matter if it's a drought or it's too wet, you still got to pay to put the crop in, you still got to kill the weeds. If you don't do it, you're just setting yourself up for a disaster for next year. I'm just going to head up to the paddock now, just check out paddock conditions. The wind, I think it's supposed to be more northerly first thing this morning, but it's supposed to swing around to the south-southwest, so I'm just waiting on that wind direction change, because to the south side of these beans I've got wheat and barley, so I really need the wind to go and come back the other way. Wind's still bearing a little bit northwest, so, and it's very calm at the moment. I think I need to wait a little bit until we get a bit more breeze, and it's damp enough out here, although the beans do seem pretty dry. So yeah, I just want a little bit more air movement, I think, and yeah, that wind to just pivot a little bit more. I think it was around 9:30, 10 that it was supposed to start swinging around to the south, so we'll hope it does that. But otherwise, beans look absolutely great. Really happy with the stand on them this year. They've germinated pretty well considering how tough it was. They suffered a little bit of the same fate on some of the heavy ground up on the sides of the hills there. They're a little bit thin like the wheat is, but overall, yeah, they've come up really, really nice. And you can see there's still beans trying to come up out of the ground in spots. It's absolutely unbelievable. But I probably will do a bit of a season update here over the next week, because it is forecast to really start warming up. They're not going to be big crops this year. They were set out for disaster really from the start. They're never going to get a chance to thicken up. They've not had a decent rain on them since they went in, so look, yeah, we'll do a bit of an update at some stage, and yeah, you'll see exactly what's going on.
Hi, Daddy!
Ah, where was it?
Show him.
Where was it?
In the drawer. She put it in the drawer in the hallway, like, you know, those.
Oh, really?
She came running down, she was like, I've got a bunny! I've got a bunny!
Well, you hit it, so
You found it.
yeah. Well, I just did a few things over there at the spray shed, and I can feel that breeze just starting to pick up now, and the weather station in town says a nice south-southwester up to 10 kilometres an hour, so I think we're good to go. They were saying we were a slight chance of a shower of rain this morning, but I don't know, looking around I can't really see that happening, so but from midday it's supposed to totally clear off, so I think we'll be good to rip into it. Well, good bloody morning everybody. The stars aligned over the last couple of days, and winds were the right direction. Everything went really well, and finished grass freeing. So while we're on the topic of it, I think I'm just going to get this thing cleaned up. It's probably going to sit around maybe for a few weeks now before we start doing broadleafs or whatever in the wheat and barley, so we'll get all the muck and everything cleaned off this so it can sit in the shed. Isn't that nice how I can turn over an hour of pressure washing into 30 seconds of viewing pleasure? So funnily enough, I've just cleaned this thing up and I thought, you know what, I'm going to ring the agronomist because it won't be that long before we start doing broadleafs in the wheat and barley. And I know we do have a couple of paddocks that have got a bit of stuff in them, so I rang him and I said, what are you thinking, when are we going to start doing that? And he goes, oh, he's been doing a few recommendations already, and because it's so dry, the longer it stays dry and the drier it gets, the more chance you have of damaging your crop with certain products. So I said, well, in that case, do you want to come out and have a look at a couple of paddocks that we've got some issues in? And he said, well, actually I'm driving past your place in about 15 minutes, so I'll stop by and yeah, we'll go for a look. So we're going to go for a look, and I bet you I'll have a whole nother bunch of recommendations just after I've cleaned this thing up. I was thinking we'd have a couple of weeks up our sleeve, but I've got the same train of thought as him, that it's getting dry. It's drying up more and more. It hasn't even gotten wet yet, and the more stressed the crops get as we go down the track, the more chance we're going to have of causing damage to them with some of the products we use. So anyway, is what it is. And we can't just not do it, because if we leave it, if the crop won't grow, you best believe the weeds will. And we'll just, yeah, I think I said earlier in this video, we'll just cause ourselves a mess for another year. Is that your special pine cone?
Big one.
That's huge. Where did you find that?
I found the layer.
Did you?
Yeah.
It's nice, isn't it? What else did you find while you were there? Lots?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I've already found a stick, and I kept it out of there.
Really?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yes.
Yeah, and he is, so. I just cleaned up the sprayer and you're going to give me more jobs, aren't you?
That's right. Never pack it away.
That's it. Absolutely no shortage of vetch in there. A bit of other stuff growing as well. Can't see what it is.
Yep. Oh well. Best of luck. Make sure it rains.
Yeah, I put my order in. I put it in about 4 months ago, but still hasn't. That order hasn't been filled yet.
See ya.
See ya. Alright, so the synopsis of the drive around with the agronomist was that we've got one paddock of barley that has pretty extreme broadleaf weed pressure in it and a whole bunch of vetch growing in there as well, so we're going to have to get out and take care of that one paddock straight away. We drove around the rest of the barley and at home here, and a bit of the wheat and everything else looks pretty good, so we don't have to do too much there. But he said the barley is at growth stage 31 to 32, and so it's going to be starting to push ahead up the boot in about 3 weeks time. The crop's about this big. So, and the same thing out in the wheat, similar growth stage, already looks moisture stressed. You can see the tops of the leaves are starting to wilt over and look pretty terrible. So, and we've got unseasonably warm weather at the moment too, like it's pushing up well into the 20s, which is really pretty strange for early August, but is what it is. If you guys have been following along for a while here, it's been an awful year. And actually you look at a few of the weather apps and they show the running total for the year and all previous years, and it's pretty much the worst on record on some of them. So, or right down around there anyway. It's, yeah, and the agronomist, he said he hasn't seen it, you know, he hasn't seen anything like this in the 20 years that he's been here. So tough stuff. So I am going to go get what I need for that job now. I'm probably not going to be able to do it until Friday because it's looking a bit windy tomorrow, and I've got a meeting this afternoon, or in about an hour I've got a meeting, and I've got no idea how long that's going to take me. So we'll just get prepared, and yeah, I'll have to move a bit of other stuff around. We're going to have to go back to the bore water because we haven't collected any rainwater because it hasn't rained. Oh, I've kind of got everything sorted for that job, all the stuff over here and all the products I need. Well, my meeting went well this afternoon, but I was feeling quite unproductive, so I brought myself out to collect a few stuff. I've got a job for this tractor right here, but unfortunately it's due for its 250-hour service, so I'm going to have to knock that off before I go anywhere with it. I love it. When I sarcastically said that I love it, I actually don't mind servicing things. I don't mind autonomous work like this where you just know exactly what you got to do and you go and do it. Service it, drop the oil, change the filters. Good to go for another 250 hours. It's satisfying. Maybe I'm wired up weird like that, I don't really know. Some people hear servicing and they cringe. Oil's drained, oil filter's changed, hydraulic filters are changed. I guess we'll change the fuel filter next. Get out of here with that. I don't believe I've changed this fuel filter since I've put a new electric fuel pump in the tank. Harvest time, I reckon. So this should self-prime up now. It never used to, I always just have to pre-fill the filter, but I think this year, or this time, we'll just slap it on and it'll go. Oh, you're gonna make me messy. This fuel filter is one of the worst fuel filters ever to change. If you want to clean the bowl out, you gotta unwind it off the bottom, then there's a nut on the inside, you gotta pull that plastic bit off, there's an O-ring under there, there's an O-ring under that thing there. You gotta change this little tap on the bottom with O-rings on it. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not a good time. Wouldn't recommend it. Let's put a little bit of that creamy Vecton in there. Oh my goodness, it's raining! Listen to it. Woohoo! It's the drought breaker. It's definitely not a drought breaker. They're only talking a couple of mil. But we'll take it. We'll take whatever we can get. Right, let's see whether this thing will prime up. Oh, I can see it. It's filling. Oh, very slowly. This might take a while. Just a nice little narrow band of storms coming through. I don't think it's going to last long at all, but like I said, we'll take what we can get. Best mouse, the greatest mouse. Some say there had never been a better mouse. Well, I was kind of thinking when they had 0 to 5 millimeters on the forecast that we were going to get 0. So anything above 0 is a bonus. A couple of millimeters, the crops will enjoy that on the leaves, and yeah, it'll just dampen things up a little bit, keep them happy for a little bit longer until that big rain comes. But anyway, while we're at it here, I guess I've serviced the tractor. I should probably just grease the loader as well and get it done right. That'll get our attention, won't it? Right, we're all serviced up. Let's go put this hog to work. It looks like the rain is behind us now, but I am very grateful for that tiny bit of rain we got, because it all helps. I don't know what it is, I love the smell of engines after they've had fresh oil put in them. They've just got this unique smell, you can just smell that fresh oil in there. It sounds weird, but when you're a mechanic, you can smell it. Alright guys, I'll show you what we got going on here. So out here we've got a itty bitty little vetch crop mixed with a bit of canola in here, and we were going to cut this for hay. So I'm going to come out and roll this now. There's plenty of grasses in here. It has been grass free, so we're just waiting on those to start dying. It'll probably take a couple of weeks still, but yeah, the crop's still very, very small. No issues rolling. It won't really do any damage to it, but yeah, I don't give this a lot of chance of actually turning into a hay crop, because, well, it's tiny at the moment, and we're just going to pretend like it's going to rain again and it's going to grow something. We're just shooting for what we were shooting for at the start of the season, which is to cut hay off here. But look, if it all goes bad, we'll turf some sheep on here and we'll spray it out, and we'll still achieve the same thing with cleaning up some grasses and hopefully returning a bit of N to the soil. And that there is what we got to roll it for. Push any rocks into the ground. This paddock is not bad for rocks at all. That would be big for this paddock, but we got to push them in case we do cut hay. We don't want the hay cutter to have any troubles when they come through here, so smooth out any clods and push any rocks in. I have just got a set of old rubber rollers there off the neighbour. They're about 40 foot wide. We'll fold them out in a sec, and they'll be more than good enough to roll this out and just smooth out a few clods and whatnot. So not as good as steel ones, but we're not dealing with a mass amount of rocks or anything like that, so these will be perfect for what we need. Have a look at the grass here. I assume this is just moisture stressed. It looks shocking, doesn't it? Yeah, there's nothing in there, is there? No wonder it's dying. I do kind of feel like this is a pointless exercise, but you know, the season's still alive and you got to just keep shooting for average and shooting for, you know, what you were shooting for at the start of the season. So we'll get this done. I'll just have to figure out how to fold these bad boys out. I think they're pretty easy, but we'll get it sorted. Alright, let's go. They're not quite 40 feet, these things, I think. So yeah, we'll set it to 11.8 and we'll see how we go. 11.8 meters, that is. I guess that little shower of rain helped keep the dust down a little bit, but it's still flying. I've done my outside laps and I've cut the triangle off one end. I'll just have a look and see how we're going for alignment and that here. I think we could narrow this up a little bit more because that's been hit and that's getting missed. So I might need to make some adjustments to this. It's sort of almost hard to see where it's been. It doesn't really, it's not that aggressive because they're just rubber rollers, but you can tell she's pushed down on top. Yeah, I am just missing by a little bit, so I'll have to narrow it up a little bit. Well, I can tell from in here that that looks $1 million, so let's hammer it out. I reckon it's time for a montage. Some of you might be wondering why I'm rolling this now and why I didn't roll it straight after seeding, and it was because we're going to cut this for hay and it's vetch. I put a little bit of canola in with the vetch because vetch is very viney, grows across the ground, doesn't stand up well. The canola will help the vetch grow up a little bit and make it easier to cut. So I didn't want to come roll it straight after seeding, because when you roll it you tend to push a lot of dirt back into the furrow, and canola being such a tiny seed, I didn't want to bury it and then never see the canola. So I thought I'll wait till the crop gets up and gets going, and then we'll come up and roll it afterwards. So that's why we're here today. Getting a little spritzer out there at the moment, but this is very relaxing sitting here doing this. Nothing to worry about, just sitting here going up and back, up and back. Beautiful. Almost the end of the day and almost the end of this paddock. I think we've got about 3 or 4 more passes left to do, so just as we run out of light, we'll run out of rolling to do, which will be good. Alright guys, we're all winged up here, we're all done in this paddock, we're all done for another episode of Lock Valley Farm, so I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for watching, we really do appreciate it. If you want to support the work we're doing here, just consider liking and subscribing, because that really helps us out. You guys have yourselves a good one. Till next time, see ya! Ho 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 ho, 1.5 millimeters, that takes us to 3 for August.